Welcome to another episode of Hagerty's Drive Time. I am joined, as it's turning out per usual, with Rob Sass and Stefan Lombard.
Stefan.
Who is here through the power of the interwebs.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I guess it's still morning here.
Well, it's very much morning in Portland, Oregon.
Definitely
where
morning
Stefan's
there.
coming from.
Not quite as snowy as last time, but still just a little. But
I would like to say that we are joined today by my pencil drawing of Liza Minnelli.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm not even going to go
the fans
there.
listening at home can't see it, but
they can't see
she's
it.
there.
It's splendid, by the way.
No. It's fabulous.
Fabulous. Yes. So first off, every year Hagerty does a hot list, which is 10 cars in some way special to the model year, this year, 2015, that we feel have great potential to be collectible. And by no surprise, I'm just going to go down the list quickly. The Alfa Romeo 4C that we talked about quite a bit last time on the list. We know why. Pretty easy. Bmw M4 Convertible. 73,000. Man. That is a chunk of change.
It really is. Well, I mean, it did sneak under the $100,000 limit for the hot list, but by the price of a loaded Focus.
Right. And just slightly beating it is the Z28 Camaro.
It's 75 grand.
75 grand.
The strange thing is, I think I have an easier time with the notion of parting with 75 large for the Z28 instead of the M4, and I don't know why. It's kind of out of character for me, but it just the Z28 is a really, really special car. 505 horsepower LS7 V8. That seems like a car that really is going to be a surefire collectible.
I think so too, especially holding the Z28 badge, because obviously there's a history there.
Yeah.
The biggest question is, for $4,000 more, would you rather have a Z06 Corvette?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, I think you have to say yes.
Which is on the list as well.
Yeah.
That's a strange one.
Yeah, but you get those two back seats in the Camaro.
You do. You do. And you're not driving a Corvette in the Camaro.
That is true.
Dodge Challenger Hellcat, which is...
Ooh, we can say hell in the podcast?
We did.
Wow.
Just happened. 58,000, which standing next to the Chevys seems like a deal.
It does. However, if anybody read the press release from Chrysler that just went out,
no,
it seems that very few people are paying sticker for the Hellcat right now. Yeah.
So this is very much suggested retail price.
Very, very much so. And actually, it was a really fairly stand-up thing to do on Fiat Chrysler's part to basically send this thing out and taking some of their dealers to task who are taking deposits on cars that they are not going to be allocated any time in the next 5 years.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, it always seems like the worst of the car salesmen are the ones that we hear the most about.
Very true. This is not a blanket indictment of car salesmen everywhere, but there have been instances that have gotten back to the Fiat Chrysler management about dealers taking large deposits with no certain delivery dates for the cars for cars that they're flat out not being allocated.
Yeah, they have no promise of being allocated, but they'll take your money.
Yeah,
that's a rough
one. It almost makes car dealers seem shady.
Again, back to the blanket statement.
Yes.
Don't
not let
all of them.
A few bad apples spoil it, but it's a car like this that really does potentially bring out the worst. And let's face it, there haven't been a lot of cars like this for American manufacturers recently, where they really do have something very hot that they can add a little additional markup to. So kudos to that, and kudos to the fact that I think this is probably the first car that I can think of that has an actual expletive in the name.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't encountered that much at all. And plus, I just love the fact that Dodge said, okay, 500, that seems to be kind of the line. How about 700?
Yeah.
707. Yeah. That is our...
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
It really is. I mean, the fact of the matter is, at the height of the golden age of horsepower in the 60s, what do they say that L88 Corvettes actually made around 550 horsepower or so, and they were obviously underrated. Bunch. That's a yeah, but I mean, this is 700 SAE net horsepower. Not 550 or 500 gross horsepower. This is net horsepower at the rear wheels.
And
that is amazing.
All of the EPA regulations, all of the crash test regulations that the old cars never were held to.
Yeah.
So that's even more of an accomplishment, in my opinion.
It is. It really is. So,
Crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Anybody remember the malaise era at this point? I mean, it's really, really kind of fading.
Yeah. The days of like 140 horse Camaros are kind of gone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they're getting.
But yeah, if how long till someone takes one of these engines and puts it in an old Dodge Diplomat, though?
Yeah, the first one that's wrecked.
Now, actually, that would be kind of cool, is to find like a Cordoba or something.
Something just asinine.
Something of the malaise era. Yep. And now that would be a cool engine transplant. I would fully support that.
They certainly have the room under the hood.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
So now we're getting into bargains, relatively speaking. Ford GT, Mustang GT Performance Package. Cool, glad to see that come back. Mazda MX-5 Miata 25th Anniversary Edition. They've redesigned the Miata.
And it looks pretty cool. I mean, they definitely, decided to add a different chromosome to the car. They've certainly pumped up the testosterone level of the Miata. To me, it looks a lot like a 2/3 scale Jaguar F-Type in a lot of ways. I mean, the taillights were kind of a direct theft there, and a little bit in the grill. But I mean, it's very much the sort of the contemporary Mazda look to it, which is really good. I mean, anybody who's seen a Mazda 6 or a Mazda 3.
The new ones are getting some real nice sharp lines and some nice body styling to them, which is really all we're left able to do now that we're so concerned about aerodynamics, is just put some sharp lines in them that don't interrupt.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like it. I mean, they're sort of, going against kind of the high belt line and sort of low greenhouse look it's really, sort of typified by like the Chrysler 300 and cars like that. The belt line's lower, it's curvier. I mean, there's a lot of I actually liked the looks of the Fisker Karma when it was around. Yeah. And there's some of that in the new Mazda design, which I kind of like.
Nice. So yeah, the Mustang GT 37,125. The Miata is 33,000. That is for the 25th Anniversary Edition. I'm sure the standard one is less, but still right in the wheelhouse for that SCCA guy.
Yeah.
There's a deep discount on the 24th Anniversary.
Those are getting cheap, huh?
Now, isn't that like the Farewell Edition? There's some sort of special edition for the last of this generation Miata, isn't there?
I'm sure it's the 24th anniversary.
It's a take these off our hands edition.
Right. Mini John Cooper Works hardtop, 24,950. That's 25,000. That thing is an awesome car for that. I mean, even if it's not collectible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's small.
Those are a hoot.
It's not. I mean, you're probably not getting all the bells and whistles you could up in the $75,000 range. But man, talk about a fun little car to have.
And you can get it with a manual transmission.
Right. And Mini, if I'm not mistaken, is the only company that is year over year selling more manuals than the previous.
I think so. All the more reason to love them.
Right.
They're single-handedly keeping the clutch pedal alive.
I love it. Another one that's somewhat near to my heart, the WRX STI Launch Edition, 38,190. That's a lot for a Subaru.
That is, and it's like, who doesn't have a Launch Edition right now?
Right. And on the other side of it, which you have to mention, Mitsubishi is working on their final edition for the 10th generation Evolution.
That's the foot in the grave edition?
Right.
It's the lunch edition.
It's the lunch edition.
It's going to be around at lunchtime.
Right. And then finally, Volkswagen Golf R 36,595. This one is all-wheel drive, 292 horsepower. Pretty good for a Volkswagen. I mean, not that Volkswagens are bad, but 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with all-wheel drive and 292 horse.
Is this a car that could potentially get you out of your Evo someday?
No, the only one that I seriously looked at was the Focus GT that's coming over. All-wheel drive.
Is it the RS?
Yes, the RS. Thank you. The RS. If they bring the RS without heavily screwing it up to the U.S., that's a decision to be made.
Interesting. Well, Ford lately has a good track record of not screwing up their European products anymore.
Right.
So you could be in luck.
Yeah. So there we go. 10 cars
right.
under $100,000 have the potential to be collectible. Obviously, some of them more than others.
I'm curious, guys. Of that list, which do you? What's your best bang for the buck?
Bang for the buck has got to be that John Cooper Works, hands down.
Yeah, or at the other end of the bang for the buck spectrum, the Z06 at that price for what you get is tremendous.
And if you can find one for MSRP, that Hellcat.
Yeah.
If.
Very good.
So coming up here in just a week, Rob and I, at least, are going to the Amelia Island Concours and now set of auctions. There's going to be a total of 4 auction companies there. We've got Hollywood Wheels, which is their second year there. Bonhams, their first year there, right? Gooding and RM are kind of the staples of those. And some cool cars offered. Rob, I think this one stood out in the crowd to you.
Oh, the teal metallic 993 Turbo S.
Ocean Jade metallic.
Ocean Jade. Well, it looks like the Miami Dolphins edition, I mean, this thing looks like it should have like orange piping in the seats or something. But it is a unique color, and in the Porsche world, odd, unique colors, actually sometimes have the effect of adding value to the car. All you can say is that any air-cooled Porsche Turbo right now is just absolutely, I don't care what it is, guaranteed to be worth many multiples of what it was worth 3 years ago.
Yeah, so that's a really cool. That one is being offered at Gooding, lot 12. If you're looking it up, we'll have links to it.
They sort of double down in the Porsche Turbo world. They also have a speed yellow 964 3.6 liter turbo with kind of a similar pre-sale estimate. So this is big money for these cars.
They're talking $325,000 to $400,000 on a '97 Porsche.
Yeah.
For most cars, that is bottom of depreciation. Would be, 97.
Unless it's an air-cooled Porsche Turbo. I've said this a gazillion times, and I should not say it again because the market's going to take off long before I'm in a position to do anything about it. But if you're not looking at the water-cooled successor to these cars, the 996 Turbo right now, in the mid to high 30s, you should have your head examined. If you're in the market.
I will add that Gooding also has a 96 GT2 with an estimate of $950 to $1.25 million. Which is completely caught me off guard because I didn't think that, and who knows whether it was.
Yeah. So. The one caveat here is
that's $959 money. That's, I don't know. It's a lot of money for one of those cars.
That is a lot of money for a not even 20-year-old Porsche.
It's amazing. I did not expect Porsches to be $1 million cars, let alone that quickly.
Yeah. So, and again, as we're saying, it's those are the cars that if there's a market correction, you sort of have to look out for. Mm-hmm. Just the cars that might be affected in the event of a correction in the market.
Yeah, stuff that's just alarmingly hot for sure.
Yeah. That's doubled and doubled again and doubled again.
Right. So my pick, one of them anyways, and I love oddball cars, and it's in a price range that I maybe someday could get at. 63 Triumph Vitesse Sports 6 convertible at Bonhams. Pretty awesome. 20 to 30,000. It's not fast.
In spite of the fact that vitesse means speed in
right.
French.
And it makes me laugh that it is a Triumph Speed Sport 6 convertible, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. Well, you know, what it is, it's a Herald. It's a Triumph Herald with a 1.6 liter version, I think, of the engine that found its way into the GT6 and then later the TR250 and TR6. It's a really nice straight six. It probably sounds really good, but at the end of the day, you're looking at a car that goes 0 to 60 probably in like 14 or 15 seconds.
Straight six at 70 brake horsepower.
Yeah. 1.6 liters. It's a tiny little straight six.
That is very small.
Yeah, but it's an interesting looking car. You know, I like the way the designers sort of added. It's like, you know, we're gonna make it look mean. It's got kind of this angry look on its face.
The brow is furrowed.
Yeah,
up above the headlights. Yeah. No, it just I'd never see these things, and it stood out, especially in this auction at 20 to 30,000. It is low. It's being sold without reserve. I'm really curious to see if this is going to be the deal at the auction.
You know what? It may well be, or it's going to be one of those things where, you know, it's kind of like the consolation prize. The underbidder on a big car, that guy's girlfriend thought it was really cute, and there's the story. But it's essentially, it's a 4-seat Spitfire with a 6-cylinder engine.
A tiny 6-cylinder
engine, yeah.
It's I'm a little disappointed. None of it was shot in the snow. For the auction company, and every photo has the top, and so there are no images of the what it looks like with the top down. So I'd be interested in seeing that, because it's looking at it in profile. It's a very tall car.
It is.
There's a big greenhouse area.
That top is definitely adding to that effect. I think.
Yes.
Dropping the windows in the top, you're going to lose a lot of that height look to it.
I've seen them in person before. They are not bad looking cars at all. They're really kind of they're tall and narrow. They've got kind of these interesting tail fins and tail lights in the back, and you're not going to see yourself coming and going. And it does have, you know, it's not a huge back seat, but it does have a back seat. It's you know, it falls squarely into the nice ice cream getter category.
Yeah. So maybe that's just where I live, is nice ice cream getters.
Yeah, you know, take it to Moomers in
makes me
summer,
happy.
if summer ever comes here.
Right. Yeah. If the snow melts, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Another one that caught my eye, and I love it. RM Auctions, Lot 109, 1952 Fiat 500C Topolino. Crazy awesome looking car. 40 to 60,000. 16 horsepower, so I'm going big.
Yes, you are.
With my choices.
Yeah.
34.9 cubic inch overhead valve inline 4.
You could get into a race with the Triumph Vitesse in this car, and nobody on the planet would know that you're racing.
Know it. It would look like we're just trying to get into traffic.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I don't know. I like it. It's a great style. I think it would be a lot of fun to drive around, and just, you know, it's one of those without reserve could be a great deal at the auction.
Yeah. Well,
stuff.
Actually, you know what I would like to see is I'd like to see you get Dave and Reckow, your partner from Generation Gap, into this car with 16 horsepower.
I think it goes against every single thing
that
he looks for in a car.
Yeah. Pretty much.
The only thing it might have is a manual. I haven't looked that hard. If it does,
it'll certainly have a manual transmission, but yeah, I want to see him driving a car with 16 horsepower.
Right. I'm sure his lawnmower could outpace it.
Davin's lawnmower. With the blower on it, yeah, I'm sure it probably could. But it is a look. Topolino, it says in the catalog, means little mouse in Italian, and there you go.
It's a very apt description for that car.
It is.
It is. Now, Stefan, you pointed out one of the few U.S. offerings, or at least American market offerings here happening at Amelia.
Yes. Gooding has a very cool 32 Ford Roadster. It's a Dry Lakes car, original, unrestored. I believe it's unrestored. It's a fantastic history from Bonneville, and it comes with trophies and timing tags and all kinds of stuff. A guy named Jack Kakura built it, bought it in 1946 for $385, and massaged it heavily over time. And it's got a blown Chrysler 454 Hemi in it, making about 550 horsepower. It's got a torque flight transmission, and it just looks mean. It's a fantastic looking hot rod.
It does.
And there are so few really great period hot rods available, and I think this is for anyone in the Dry Lake scene. I think this would be a fantastic purchase. The estimate's 200 to 300, which seems to be about where these cars fall. There are some that have been on hot rod covers and stuff that bring more generally, but this is a very cool car. Lots of period photos and history, and be interesting to see what it does.
Yeah, it is without reserve, 200 to 300 estimate. But you're right. It's everything you look for in a classic hot rod. It's the right shape. It's done right. It sits right. It's got a ridiculous engine in it.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
And in an age of, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stefan.
This car was doing between 180 and 200 miles an hour in the 50s.
That's insanity.
Yeah,
that is wow. Yeah, it's a good thing it was it was on dry lakes where you don't really have to stop. But
right.
But no, is we've talked I think a fair amount about pre-sale estimates and the fact that in many cases they seem to be really as aggressive as they've ever been. But in this particular case,
it could get it
easily, and if it does the high estimate at 300,000, I would still call this car well bought. I mean, this is is period hot rods go. This is about as cool as it gets. I mean, I could see this car going to a collector who doesn't have any other hot rods in his collection just because it's cool.
Well, and this is almost as close to a survivor as you're going to get out of a hot rod.
Yeah.
Granted, it is modified. It's in no way stock, but it was modified
in period
and has stayed the way it was the last time it raced by the looks of it.
The same guy owned it for 60 years.
That's fantastic.
It's amazing. Member of the Gear Grinders Car Club.
That's awesome.
It is. I love it.
That's fantastic. And then I couldn't help but notice, Stefan, you pointed out how many 280 SE Mercedes are up for auction.
Yeah, Gooding has 4 of them. It's got a 71 a 3.5 Cabriolet. It's gorgeous in green. I don't know what the name of that color is, but it's a beautiful car. It's got a 280 SE, a 70 280 SE Cabriolet with the straight 6.
Okay.
It's got a 1970 3.5 coupe, and then a 68 SE coupe with the straight 6. So 2 coupes, 2 cabriolets, 2 3.5s, 2 straight 6s. It's a I've never seen this many at one sale.
Are these getting hot? Are they getting
notice? Yeah. Well, it's this particular coupe, but I forget the Mercedes, the W112 or whatever it was, 113, whatever it was. They've been way undervalued for a long time. The difference between the coupe and the cabriolet has just been massive. So there's some catch-up work to be done there. And it's a car like the E9 BMW coupe that is just as pretty as a hardtop coupe gets, and they were just really too inexpensive for what they were for a very long time. And I think the market's finally catching on to the fact that they're just super elegant, fantastic cars. The cabriolets have been expensive for a while, but the coupes not so much. And yeah, they're certainly catching up.
Yeah. Well, it's it's an interesting thought as one thing gets out of your range.
What's the next?
What's the next you start looking at? And obviously with these, the coupes are what people are looking at for the next.
Hey, let's face it, they're top of mind after the movie The Hangover. This was the car that Mike Tyson's Tiger ripped the interior out of.
Tore the heck, yeah. Yeah, maybe that's why they're popular, huh?
Maybe, I don't know.
So, yeah, a couple other honorable mentions here. You liked that D-Type, Stefan.
Well, D-Types are just cool. But honestly, that's not even my favorite Jaguar that's going to be at Amelia Island. My favorite is one of the Castrol liveried Jaguar XJR 9s. One of the Tom Walkinshaw racing cars. It was the Daytona 24-hour winner in 1990. Lots of IMSA history. One of two remaining. These cars, just the battle that these cars had with the factory Porsches was in that late 80s, early 90s era fantastic. This is a very cool car.
Yeah. With a very high pre-sale estimate.
What are they asking for?
It is
thinking
$3 to $5 million.
Yeah.
And you know, race cars are notoriously hard to sell at auctions.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this car. Maybe the fact that it's a Daytona winner and has Sebring history and it's selling in Florida, maybe that helps. I don't know, but be interesting.
Yeah, but $3 to $5 million was Porsche 917 money not very long ago.
Right.
Pretty amazing.
You can get a lot of car for that kind of money. They may not all be. They may not all be that Jag, but
the thing is too, what do you do with this car? If you're the you're the successful bidder and you take this thing home, I mean, this is not something that you're going to take, sort of casually vintage racing or, I mean, it has no street ability at all.
Zero, and I'm sure it's completely illegal to even try to put plates on it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna need a full crew to prep it and run it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you just want to display it, which would be kind of too bad. But
probably the people at TWR are probably still around, and they're probably happy to, help you do it at $100,000 an hour or whatever.
Right. Or at least talk to you about what might need to be done for $50,000 an hour. So
there you go.
So yeah, lots of cool stuff. It'll be real interesting to see how next week goes. Finally, something new that Hagerty is kind of doing at Amelia Island, I thought was worth mentioning, is valve cover racing. This is where you take the valve cover off of a car, strap some kind of wheel to the bottom, and we send it down a 15-foot long track at an incline. Full timing device set up just like a drag strip. It's got the tree and everything, and it'll just be fun. Come out, race against each other. It's really a great event for kids. We're going to have it set up Friday and Saturday, right there. So, you can come by.
Do you have results? We put a poll out on Facebook on what kind of valve cover we should use and that sort of thing. So what are we using, Matt?
Yeah, we've got for the Facebook vote the Shelby Cobra powered by Ford valve cover one. This would be from the GT350, like a 67.
Kind of no surprise there.
Yeah, you know what was really surprising is that the Mopar was a strong second. Beating out this one actually, which we've just finished.
Nice.
Which is a 275 British Motor Company, so like Mini
1275,
Cooper.
Yeah, Mini or MG Midget, yeah.
MG Midget or Mini Cooper or Austin Healey Sprite, if you will.
Yes.
And also a 454 big block, which we have plans for as well. But so we're going to have the fan-voted GT350 Shelby valve cover. It's going to be painted as a GT350. This week we're going to be voting on the wheels of it. Next week we're going to have a poll to see how fast we think it'll go down our track. And whoever guesses the closest, we're going to ship that valve cover out to them.
Oh, fantastic. So this is not actually the valve cover from your Sprite?
No, I don't.
Just checking.
I don't have the money for a polished machined aluminum valve cover.
That's a good-looking valve cover.
It really worked out well. We're completely locked.
Who racing next?
Hey, Stefan.
Yeah, we are.
Stefan,
yes.
Do that whole thing again because you locked for like the first 30 seconds of it.
Okay.
You look very thoughtful.
Do you know anything about the competition? Who the Hagerty valve cover will be racing against?
So what we will have, it's really an event put out there for kids to be able to enjoy, because there's not a whole lot for them to do during the Amelia Island events. We're going to have 6 of our own valve covers that they can choose to race, choose any of them, and they can kind of race against each other. Or if somebody wants to bring a valve cover down, they're more than welcome to run it down our track and see how quickly they do. But this is something that we're going to continue doing at events throughout the year and hopefully for many years to come.
Very cool.
So if you're in the Amelia Island area, it doesn't cost a dime. Come on down, race a couple of our cars, check out the track. Lots of fun, $0, and a great thing, I think, for kids to do.
I think so too.
So it'll be real exciting to see how it works out. And I've spent the last 2 days building and painting in that different valve covers for the event. So I figured it was worth mentioning.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks.
Thank you.